Well, hello there, my friends. It's me, Stu, here for you. And oh my goodness, do I have a treasure and a treat for you today? We're going to be talking to the one and only Dr. Shamika Dean, who has just done some incredible things with her particular business. And she's done it without the traditional use of what we would typically use to welcome people into our memberships and programs. So I'm excited to dive into this. So, Dr. Shamika Dean, how the heck are you?
I'm doing amazing. You know, your energy just makes everyone's day better. So even if I was having a bad day, I'm no longer having a bad day.
Well, I appreciate that, and I was telling you right before we went live, I'm like, oh my goodness, you look so beautiful. You've got this amazing background, and here I am. I'm in a hotel room, and you're putting me to shame. But I'm super excited to dive into today's conversation. So before we get started, though, can you give everybody a little bit of context in terms of who it is that you serve in your market?
Yes, absolutely. So I serve aspiring and emerging course creators, and I teach them how to turn their story into a six-figure business and then teach them how to scale beyond six figures.
Amazing. Okay, so talk to me about what happened recently, because it's pretty creative in the sense that, like, you're not using what most people would do to for a launch. So I kind of want to unpack that.
Okay.
But before we do that, give us a sense of the membership and so forth.
So the membership, again, is about course creation. And I just wanted to kind of, put my marketing hat to work and my creativity in a way that really represented who I was and the type of people that I wanted to attract into the academy. So I did, a few non-traditional things to launch my membership, but it was just an amazing journey. And, I'm still doing well, with the membership as well. So.
Sorry, my FaceTime was going off. I'm like, what the heck? I thought I had all that shut off. So let's talk about this, because you got some incredible results with this launch. And I want to walk through, what it is that you did and how you did it, because as we've been alluding to, like, it was not your, typical launch and have different or typical launch components. So can you walk us through kind of like the timeline and what you started to put into play as you went through the launch?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially, I was going to do a free event. I was going to do, like a free 3-day event. And my traditional route is, to do a free lead magnet to kind of build build my email list and things like that. But this particular time, I had an idea to just turn it into a full-fledged event, because I've always loved to do events. I'm very creative. And so my creativity really sparks when I'm planning events. And so instead of doing the free lead magnet or the free event, I made it a low-priced 3-day event, which was only $27. And so the reason I did that is because I remember you telling the story about your founding members launch, and you were saying, well, what if I put this out here and no one joins, right? And so I had that thought as well. And so I decided to charge, like I said, it's a no-brainer, right? It's really low risk. You can afford to toss, $27. So I did it that way. And the registration just started going crazy. I was just like, oh, this is really going to be something, right? And so I did implement some of the things that I saw you do when you opened up registration for Tribe, how you had some of your past clients to come in and things like that. And so I believe that events are about executing experience. And that's what I really wanted to bring to the table. And so I thought, what is the story I want to tell with this event? So I really wanted to paint a clear picture of the entire journey of me even getting to the point of building the academy. And that is what I did. So the 3-day event, it was very structured and strategic. The first day, I literally shared my journey into entrepreneurship. I had guests, from that knew me personally and some past coaches to come in and share their knowledge of who I was and how I've grown. the next day is when I actually did the training that I was going to teach, which is called Cash Before Creation, and it's a pre-sale strategy. So I taught that, and then the third day I brought on my success panel, and I did a few like pop-up things, to give people that extra, value to add to it. And before I wanted them to feel like I felt when I was on the event that you did for Tribe. The very first day, I was like, what is he selling? I want to buy it. That's literally what I didn't know what it was. I literally said, whatever he's selling, I want it because of the experience that I had in the free event. And so when I started to get that same response before I ever opened enrollment or offered, people were just asking me, what are you selling? We want it. What are you selling? We want it. And so I knew then that I was onto something. And so that 3-day event turned into a 63K launch in 3 days. And so even outside of, I did the open and close card, of course, and I made a couple of more that I didn't count exactly the last couple of days. I was just so excited about the first 3 days. And, not to include, so I think in total, it was about 70K total, or close to 70K, like 69 and some change, with the $27 registration plus those who enrolled in the academy over the course of those.
It's amazing. And there's a couple key things that I hope everybody's picking up on. Number one, you had it was a paid event, which I think is really important because that immediately qualifies people.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, or more committed and interested. So I love that. And we're seeing this a lot, like in the sense of when Tribers have a promotion where there is a paid component up front, whether it be like for you in your case, like an event, and I'm going to unpack this because I'm super excited to talk about it, or whether it be like a paid challenge or, a paid, coaching week, whatever it might be, that attracts a much more qualified and committed audience. So I love that. But the second thing that I hope everybody picked up on was how you created an experience. And I think this is so important. Like, it's not just what we're sharing and the information itself, but it's the experience of it. Because when people experience it, they feel something different. You know what I mean? And I maybe you can give words to this, but like, I don't, it's hard for me to explain, like when people feel it, like they not only see it, they not only hear it, but they feel it inside. It changes them. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. The experience was just amazing. And, a part of marketing, because that is my forte, marketing. And so a part of marketing really is helping people to see themselves in the experience, to feel the experience, and it makes it possible for them. When they can feel it, it's like, oh my God, I can really do this. And so that's why I was very strategic in how I structured the event, because I needed them to understand that I didn't wake up and get to this place. This was the journey, And so most of the people, I literally had people saying to me, I just wanted to sign up because of the experience. And so I knew that from moving forward, I would always focus on executing experience.
One thing here that it sparked a memory of a conversation that I literally had this week, where we were talking about like how, once you get into any open cart, whether it be in your case, like, that was through the event, or whether it be a traditional, opening cart, there's a point in time where the audience, they believe you, they believe that your product, your program, your membership will work. But there's a part of them that doesn't believe that they can do it themselves. And I hear you saying something very similar here, which is like the experience creates that belief in them that they can do this. And once they see that it's possible, not only for other people, but for themselves, that's when it starts to get a better response. And so am I picking up what you're putting down here, Shamika?
Yes, absolutely. Because, it's about being able to share that story, right? And we know that story selling it's a strategy. We understand that. And so when we don't tell our stories, we rob people of possibility.
Mm.
And so I wanted to really show them through my story that, again, this is what's possible for you. And it doesn't mean that I'm, special or any of those things. It just simply means that I chose to take take that next step and to do what I saw was possible for me as well. And so that's why it was so important to create that experience.
Okay, so a couple things that I hope everybody's making note of. One, you're talking about this journey. And in our world, you know it, Shamika, but in the tribe world, we talk about the success path and being this journey and mapping that out and creating that vision for people, because it's important for them to be able to see where they are on that journey. And as you're saying, like what that next step is going to be. So I love that you had mapped that out and we're talking about the journey. The other thing that I love about what you just said is that many times our story is a reflection of the journey, not only that we've been on, but that, people can relate to. So, especially like in the beginning, your journey is like one of your most powerful marketing assets, and to talk about it. And, like when our favorite bands or recording artists, they come to town and they're going to play their hit songs. They're probably so sick of playing those songs, but they're going to play them because that's what everybody wants to hear. And it's the same with our stories, right? Like sometimes we get so sick of telling our stories that we're like, people don't want to hear that again. No. Your story is so important. And that's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes. So one of my quotes, I love quotes. So I'm like a quote queen, right? And so one of my quotes is that if you have a story to tell, you have a product to sell.
Whoa, I love that. Say that again.
If you have a story to tell, you have a product to sell. And I think that if we understand the significance of our stories and how many other people are stuck because we haven't said anything, right? And so they are over here sinking in sand, and we have a story that can pull them out and help them soar. And we think it's insignificant. We think that, maybe it's boring. Maybe it's not big enough. Maybe I haven't gone through enough things, but there's always someone who shares a similarity to your story. And they're just looking for someone else like you to share it. And it gives them the hope. It really gives them that passion, that drive, things that they didn't think that they could do when they see that, oh my goodness, so she went through this situation and I've gone through something similar and she's now doing that. Maybe it is possible for me.
I love this so much. And I just love what you're sharing. And I can see in the comments that people are resonating with it too. So I want to ask you about this. What tips do you have as it relates to being able to tell your story in an effective way that really connects and resonates for people?
First things first is, I believe that sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Oftentimes we think that it's only the good things that people love about our story, but it's really not. It's those bad things, those moments, those tribulations, trials, and all of those things that we also had to go through on the journey, that they need to understand that this happens to someone else too. And it's not just me. And so oftentimes we think that no one has a story like us, or we're the only ones who've ever gone through this or have this thought or, that. And it's just not true. It really isn't. And so I always connect my story. I go through a four-part process, and it is the pain, the pain that they are experiencing, the problem that they have, the process that they are in, which always reminds me of the success path, and then the promise, right? So what are the promises, the things that they actually desire to have in their lives? And so if you can connect your parts of the story with any four of those areas, someone in your audience is going to connect with one of the four. You just have to be willing to share, those components, those parts of your story as well, because someone will connect with one of them.
Okay, so let's map those out again. So that's the pain, the problem, the process, and the promise. Perfect. Yes. That's awesome. It's interesting too, because as I'm hearing you say that, one of the tips that I always encourage people to do is, like, when you're in the midst of a challenge, when you're in the midst of something that feels overwhelming, that's the time to write it down. Like
Yes.
that's the time to write down like what it is that you're thinking in that moment, what it is that you're
The
feeling in that
feeling. What are
moment.
you saying? What are
Well,
the
yeah,
all of
yes,
those things? Yes.
because
Yes. I keep
they're
a
vivid
journal.
in that moment. Like
Mhm.
when months pass or years pass, you may remember the general details, but you
Mhm.
won't remember the specifics. But when you're in it, like, oh my gosh. And I'm sharing this because there's a journal entry that I have on my phone, and
Mhm.
it was from when my wife and I and my daughter, we flew to South Africa, and we were meeting our son, for the very first time when when we were adopting him. And I remember journaling like on my phone,
Mhm.
and I was recording everything, like all the little details, like all the feelings that I was going through and the emotions and
Mhm.
and the specifics of that whole experience. And it it inevitably, whenever I review it, if I go back, I'm instantly brought, all those emotions come right back
Yes.
because they're so vivid, they're so specific. And so I just encourage everybody that when you're in the midst of things, like that is the best time to write it down, to record it, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing. As you said, well, like, what are you saying to yourself? Like all of
Think,
those
feel,
things.
say. And
Yeah.
I actually take my clients. So all of my clients have to, they have a journal. And so when they are having those moments of frustrations, I tell them, write it down. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And what are you saying to yourself in those moments? Because that is what is going to connect with your audience when it's time to tell your story.
Amazing. Okay. So let's talk about the offer itself that you
Mhm.
made at the event. So you used this 3-day event
Mhm.
as the launch of your membership. Talk
Yes.
to me about how you shared the vision for what your membership was, and how you shared that with your audience.
So again, I started out, with the story, and I focused on reducing risk. That was my
Mm.
strategy, like reducing the risk of people saying no. And so, of course, I had to go through what are the mindset blocks that most people have as aspiring or emerging, course creators who've not hit six figures in their business yet. And so I had to really unpack that and be able to speak their language. So I use a strategy called listen, learn, and leverage their language. That's the strategy
Mm.
that I use. And so I had to, I went through, a couple of little steps to do that. And so I made sure that when I spoke, although I use a lot of alliterations, that's a part of my brand. So, but when I'm speaking to them, it's about them. So I needed to speak to them in their language. And then again, one of the risks was the risk reduction strategies was the cash before creation method, which was is the pre-sale strategy. Is how I teach them how to cash in on their course before they create it, and that was the winner.
So this was like a
So to speak.
bonus that you were
Yeah, it
offering?
was. Mhm.
Got it.
And so it was like that was the winner. And so it just let people know that, oh my God, all these things I thought I needed to have in place and all these things I thought I needed to do, I really don't need to do that. And I can actually make money, before. And then on the third day is when I finally opened up enrollment after I had my success panel to come on. And I just positioned it in a way that my audience does not, most of the people in my audience are moms
Mhm.
and wives, right? And it's already a hustle just trying to be a mom and a wife. So now you're saying build a business too, right?
Right.
And so my positioning was, let me show you how to build a six-figure salary without sacrificing your sleep, your sanity, your spouse, or your seed to do it. And the seed is, the children.
Yeah.
And so that's how I positioned the offer. And I opened up, enrollment, and it just went crazy. I
It
mean,
landed.
yes.
Well,
I think I
and
converted at about 74%.
that is remarkable. Like that is ridiculous. And The big lesson that I'm getting from this, and I hope everybody else is too, is that you were intentional about speaking to common objections that you knew were going to come up for people.
Absolutely.
And then the second thing that I love about it is that you created specific bonuses that
To
helped them,
counteract.
alleviate those, objections or
Mhm.
sticking points. And so, again, I think the strategy behind it is so important to understand for everybody, because like these are all things that we can do to increase our own conversions
Mhm.
by thinking of these things ahead of time. When we make an offer, to think of the objections. Don't hide from those objections. Like think about them and strategize around them. And you just did that in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. So the thing is, you oppose the objections just by offering an opportunity, right? And that opportunity could be, that bonus opportunity to, address those objections. And the most common objections are time, money, and fear. Those are the most common objections that people are going to say, no, I don't have the time. I don't have enough money. I don't know if, or believe this is possible for me.
Mm.
So behind those objections, you have to tailor it to your particular audience, right? So again, my audience are moms and wives, and so if I can tell this mom and wife, okay, when I'm dealing with a time objection, how can, if I can show you that you only have to spend an hour a week to build this business, or an hour a day, right, to build this business and still be able to make six figures, which is going to give you more time to have bedroom boom with your honey and you know and to play Pokemon, with your children. Is that feasible for you, right? And
Mm.
so the average mom, she can spare an hour a day, even if it's after she's put the kids to bed, or even if she gets up an hour early, before she has to go to work, or she fixes breakfast, or if I can tell her, while you're fixing breakfast, you can literally listen to this content while you're cooking breakfast, and then take the next 30 minutes and boom, implement the strategy. That is going to be feasible for her. It makes, it's a no-brainer, as many would say. So you just have to be able to make sure that when you are opposing or counteracting those objections, that it makes sense for your audience. And you have to know your audience like the back of your hand.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me talk to you. You got off to a rocking hot start from the live event. Did you have a follow-up after the event?
Yes, I had, after the event, I think we did, was it 5 days? So I did
Okay.
the 5-day follow-up. And I still, of course, have email sequences that are going out because I'm getting ready to open enrollment again. And so I have, email sequences that are actually going out now to continue cultivating the connection, because I don't ever want people to feel like they are just another dollar sign,
Mm.
And so cultivating that connection is very important, because people know then, oh, she really wants to see me succeed, and she's not just trying to build her bank account.
For sure. And did you open the offer to people outside the event as well?
No, so mine was specifically to the people that, well, I did the founding members launch. I
Yep.
did your launch script. So that was the very first time. I think I did maybe one or two posts, and I
Yeah.
still was getting interest, but I wanted to, again, make sure that I was qualifying leads, so that when I actually did the enrollment process, that, I would have more qualified leads in my roadmap to revenue, is what I call it. But the people that enrolled within that 3-day period with a 5-day open cart were only the people that went to the event, that attended the event.
Got it. Okay. Buddy, this has been amazing. What a great discussion. And I want to ask you, as we wrap up, like, do you have any final thoughts, tips, or tricks for people as it relates to launching their membership and or growing their membership?
I would say, do not be afraid to be creative. Don't be afraid to trust your gut, and, to just step outside of the box and do what you believe is going to work for you. Be different, don't be afraid to be different. I think the other thing is to make sure that you're operating in 100% authenticity. I
Yes.
do not have Stu's energy. I do not. But my audience, connects with me because I'm 100% authentic to who I am. And the other thing that I would suggest is do know your numbers, know your numbers before you get started, because oftentimes we may feel like we haven't had success, but we actually have had success when we look at the numbers and we look at where we started, versus where we are now. So know your numbers and study your audience like you are studying for your doctorate.
All great suggestions. And it's interesting because the one where you're talking about, knowing your numbers, I had a fabulous conversation this week with a triber who was feeling a bit down in the dumps because she felt like her conversion rates were really bad. And I said, okay, well, let's look at it. And we unpacked it. And actually, her conversion rates are phenomenal.
Wow.
She was converting at, between 10 and 11% off of a webinar. And I'm like, that is amazing.
It is.
It was only because once we broke down the numbers, did we get like real visibility into actually what was happening. And for her, the conversions were great. She just needed more people to hear the offer. And so it speaks to what you're saying is knowing your numbers is really important because it influences the direction that we take and the what we're going to ultimately end up implementing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there's nothing else you've heard me say that sticks, data is the direction to dollars. I promise you.
Woo! Say that one again. That's another sticky point. Go for
yes, it is. Data is the direction to dollars. So the more you know about your numbers, your people, you will be able to create a successful strategy. But you can't do that if you don't already know what you're working with.
Buddy, this has just been a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you?
I am all over social media as Shamika Dean or Dr. Shamika Dean. My membership is actually nextlevelbusinessacademy.com, and my personal website is shamikadean.com.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. And listen, for everybody watching, if you're thinking about launching a membership site and you just don't have the clarity of like, well, is my market going to be a right fit for a membership, or what kind of membership should I do? I want to encourage you to go to gettribeguide.com. It's a free resource we've put together where I answer the top 10 most popular questions that I get asked about memberships. It's all free. Plus, we got tons of great examples of other memberships that really get your creative juices flowing. So if you haven't gone there, go there now. Get the free guide, gettribeguide.com. Dr. Shamika Dean, this was a treat. Thank you for taking time out of your day and sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you, gang. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.